Welcome, everyone. I'm Jenna Edwards. I'm the Development Director at Our Daily Bread. We're so glad you've joined us for an important update on the future of Our Daily Bread. Tonight, you'll be hearing from our Executive Director, Wendy McGee. We will discuss Our Daily Bread's transition to a housing-focused shelter model, the challenges we're facing, our response, the updates to our services, our implementation timeline, and our projected outcomes. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to submit your questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. I'll be helping to facilitate the Q&A section along with my colleague Faustina Friedman, our development associate. If time allows, Wendy will also respond to some of your questions from the Q&A section at the end of this presentation. Thank you again for being here and for your continued support. And with that, I will turn it over to Wendy McGee.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you to all of our participants for being here tonight. We truly appreciate your time and your interest in the upcoming changes that will be happening at the shelter. Our organization, Our Daily Bread, has a rich 25-year history of responding to community needs around hunger and homelessness. And throughout that time, we have consistently adapted, pivoted, merged, and expanded, always striving to stay true to our mission, serve our community well, and most importantly, support the individuals who rely on us. The changes that we'll share with you tonight are part of that continued evolution. Next slide, Faustina. Since moving into the shelter facility just 2.5 years ago, we've been in a constant state of evaluation, assessing our processes and our services with the goal of improving how we serve. We've listened to feedback and from guests, from staff, from volunteers, and from community and partners. And a lot of that feedback has informed some of our policies and our processes. But especially over the past year, we've been strategizing the best response to some significant and really unexpected changes that we've experienced. Most notably has been the need has far outpaced our capacity. We certainly did not anticipate serving over 3,000 individuals in 2 years. The influx of people coming to Denton seeking services combined with limited resources and space has led to service gaps and really a strained system of care. Many individuals remain stuck in homelessness, not because they aren't trying, but the current system is overburdened and it lacks the capacity to help them move forward. So for example, we currently have the ability to case manage roughly 50 to 56 people. These guests are ones that are being diverted or currently enrolled in our transitional shelter program. And we've seen some success with those folks who we have case managed. They've been able to exit homelessness and move to independent living. But it's only a fraction of the people that we're serving and only a fraction of the people who are coming through our doors. So where does this leave the 120 people enrolled in emergency shelter? Stuck, frustrated, falling through the cracks. We know we've missed people who are ready to move forward, but with the current structure, we're not able to help them. And quite often they get frustrated and they give up. We believe we can do better than this. So in summary, some of the challenges that we have faced is that homelessness is on the rise in Denton County, and the number of people seeking services have outpaced Our Daily Bread's capacity. Service gaps and strained resources limit progress towards housing stability, and operating beyond our means really threatens the sustainability of our organization. And so what are we going to do about it? In response to these challenges, we're making strategic changes that will allow us to move more effectively and sustainably. So right-sizing our operations, bringing services in line with available resources, and ending the cycle of operating in the red while trying to do more than our budget allows. One of the most significant shifts in will be placing a stronger emphasis on case management. We're increasing our case management capacity from serving 50 or so individuals to 120. That's more than doubling the number of guests who will receive dedicated support. This expansion allows us to offer greater stability by eliminating weekly bed resets and introducing a housing-focused program designed to help people make meaningful progress towards long-term stability. So overnight shelter, beginning September 1, will be reserved for individuals who are ready to move forward. Guests who are willing to engage in case management, work on individualized plans, and address the barriers that are keeping them in homelessness. These guests will be enrolled in the new housing-focused shelter model program. At the same time, we remain committed to providing emergency during inclement weather and maintaining access to day shelter services. These services will be slightly limited, but will still provide essential programming. So some changes that will be happening around our day shelter services. We will be modifying the hours. Day shelter beginning August 1st will be available from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's 9 hours per day. And these services will include access to phones and the computer lab, mail services, prescription assistance, meals and snack packs. So that's a lunch, a snack, a dinner, and then to go, a snack pack upon request. We'll also bring back our farmers market several days per week. So for some of our folks who have volunteered with us or have received services prior to us moving to this location, you'll understand what the farmers market is. But basically, it is an excess of foods that we get in that we may have to send out, or maybe we have to trash them because we just can't use all of the food that comes in. We try not to have any waste, but this will help us with that. But it'll also provide additional sustenance to people who are accessing the day shelter and can provide an extra meal or a little extra snack for them. We'll continue to offer shower, hygiene items, and clothing in day shelter. Diversion services will be available. We still will try our best to divert people to a stable support system. And our whole host of community partners who come in and provide their services on site. Folks who are accessing day shelter will have access to those community partners. And I was talking to one of our staff members prior to this meeting, and we are up to 80 community partners that come in and bring their services and their expertise on site to Our Daily Bread now. I think we started at about 42 years ago, so we've done a good job in trying to grow those relationships and collaborate, bring those resources on site. Just some examples of some of the community partners who come in and what services they provide. It's mental health support, recovery programs, counseling, faith-based and non-faith-based groups, art therapy, building, job training. We've had job fairs. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Haircuts. We even do yoga regularly. So anyone who is accessing day shelter will still have access to community partners and then also referrals. What will not be included in day shelter: laundry, ID procurement, transportation assistance, breakfast, and case management. However, in the day shelter, guests will have an option to apply for the new housing-focused program while they're enrolled in day shelter services. While day shelter will provide essential services and opportunities to move forward, either with diversion, partner agency referrals, or on-site services, or applying to enroll in the new housing-focused shelter program. So we think having the housing-focused model and the day shelter kind of balances our mission and allows us to still provide essential basic services during the day, but be more intentional in working with folks in overnight shelter and more folks who are ready to start moving forward. The housing-focused model, what does this program look like? Well, it'll include a total of 120 beds. So currently we have 120 beds on the emergency shelter side and 56 beds on transitional shelter. We'll downsize to 120 beds. That's the plan at this point. We will do that over time, and we'll not do that all at once. So it'll be a gradual downsizing. We will have separate wings for men and women. This will support a safer and a more structured environment. We're also adding 8 short-term diversion beds for men and 4 short-term diversion beds for women. So this is someone who may just need to come in for a temporary stay. We have a plan in place, and we'll be able to move them out of shelter and into independence very quickly. And those 12 beds are in addition to the 120 beds. Guests who are enrolled in the program will follow an individualized yet structured stability plan designed to support long-term independence. This plan will include goal setting and budgeting, obtaining identification documents if necessary, connecting to healthcare and benefits when appropriate, identifying income sources, whether that be a job or applying for benefits. They will have employment programs. And we'll look at addressing and overcoming personal barriers and live independently, but also know we're for support. And we will try to check in with folks regularly once they have exited the program, but we will also do a lot of work on the front end to make sure that we have by partnering with organizations of Denton we currently work with. And we are dedicating 2 staff members to provide services here available on site in the mental health arena, but we do want to have counseling available, and we want to have counseling specifically that works with people who are experiencing substance use disorder as well. We'll continue supporting our veterans as we have in the past, so in collaboration with our veteran-focused community partner. So for example, a veteran who may be awaiting placement in program, they may be prioritized for one of our short-term stabilization beds. This is something that we've been doing since we've been at the shelter. We have a case manager who is a veteran himself and who specifically works with veteran partner agencies and works with our veterans. And so we'll continue to have a focus around trying to support our veterans who are experiencing homelessness. So what does it look like for someone coming into the shelter? This is an idea of a guest roadmap. The first thing they would do would be an intake and an assessment. All guests will begin with this process so we can better understand the needs and provide referrals for services or diversion if that option is available. From there, they can choose to participate in the program. They would do so by completing an application. And if there's not a available, then we will move to the wait list. There are done on a first come, first served basis. And there are some caveats around what that looks like and what folks will have to do to remain on the wait list. If anyone is interested in knowing that information, we can answer during the Q&A. But the main qualifier for this program, the new housing focused program, is willingness. You have to be over 18, yes. You have to be able to take care of your daily living needs, but you have to be ready to engage. You have to be willing to work with a case manager, and that is the main qualifier for this program. Once they're accepted into the program, a guest will be assigned a case manager. Within 14 days of that acceptance and assignment of a case manager, they will be required to meet with their case manager and to begin working on their housing stability plan. Some things that we'll look at on the housing stability plan will be budgeting, income supports, barrier reduction. And our overarching goal is to have people housed within 120 days. This is an average goal. So it is our target. When I was looking at our data for folks who have been on our transitional program, we were right at about the 120-day average. Some of those folks have, they stabilized really quickly, and then some were here for, over a year because they had significant barriers, and it just took a longer time to work with those folks. So we do recognize that each guest, their journey is different. And as long as the folks who are enrolled in this program are actively working their plan and they're making progress, they may remain beyond 120 days. But our goal is to be able to help people resolve and stabilize within 120 days. And then there'll be aftercare support for those folks who move out into independent living. Next slide. So what does the implementation and the timeline look like? To transition, we've developed a phased timeline. We've already started working on this, so really present to September 1st, but it's more than we started before today. We'll begin a gradual reduction of emergency shelter enrollment, targeting a total of 120 beds. We are prioritizing diversion and referrals to minimize turnaways and to support individual needs. We've strongly encouraged our guests to begin thinking about what stability looks like for them. Do they have a support system they can go to? Do they have an income and they only need a referral to the housing navigator? Are they employed? Have they been saving and they're ready to take that next step? Are they ready to go to an inpatient recovery program? We are having these conversations with our guests, and we are asking them to help us, to help them to get there and to take those next steps forward. Beginning just last week, we started hosting information sessions for our guests who are here at shelter. We've held 7 sessions so far. We've had approximately 125 guests attend. We are going into detailed information about what the new program looks like, what the changes look like, both in the day shelter and then in the overnight shelter and the housing focused model. We have a list of frequently asked questions that we go through, and then we're also giving the guests an opportunity to ask questions we may not have thought of. And so we are holding those information sessions regularly, multiple days per week and multiple sessions per day. We're sending out communications to our volunteers, our donors, and our partners to explain the changes and gather feedback. And tonight is also part of that, those changes that are happening from July to August. Beginning August 1, we'll begin the application process for the new housing focus program. And then also on August 1, we will begin modifying day shelter services. And so our hours will change slightly for day shelter, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and the service adjustments will go into place beginning August 1st. We will also end any new emergency overnight shelter enrollments. So if anyone is new to the shelter, they will be able to access day shelter services, but they will not be able to receive an emergency bed overnight. And then September 1, this program will go into effect. So our housing focused model will begin on September 1. We'll limit our overnight shelter to 120 guests who are enrolled in the program. And the general emergency overnight shelter will end except for inclement weather. Inclement weather, we will continue as we always have. We will make sure that people are safe and they are sheltered during periods of excessive heat or excessive cold or just threatening weather. So September 1, our core services will be our day shelter, our housing focused program, and then our inclement weather shelter as needed. And it's really important to know that day shelter guests may apply and be placed on the waiting list for the program. So if they are not accepted into the program initially, or maybe they're not ready initially, when they get ready, those applications will be available and they can apply. So we hope to accomplish through these changes some projected outcomes. These changes are strategic. They're designed to improve our impact, our sustainability, and our efficiency. Some of the expected outcomes include a cost savings of $200,000 annually, a reduction of our current operating deficit, which is quite significant. Since moving into our new location, we have lost $750,000. So it is important for us to make these changes now so we can sustain operations. We hope to have a more strategic use of our resources by focusing our services on program participants. And we hope that our average length of stay will remain around 120 days for everyone who is staying in overnight shelter. And we hope that our housing outcomes will increase. So the first year we were here in 2023, we stabilized approximately 120 guests. Last year, we stabilized 136 guests. So under this new model, we project that we will be able to stabilize much more than that. We are shooting for 250 to 300 people annually stabilized and exiting homelessness. So during this time of transition and beyond, it's important for the community to understand that we will continue, as we always have, to be flexible and to regularly evaluate our programming to determine what's working, what's not, making adjustments as necessary, and then always looking ahead to what's next. In closing, I'd like for everyone to know that these changes reflect our deep commitment to doing what is right, not just for today, but for the long-term health of our mission, our guests, and our community. We know that change brings uncertainty, but we also know that it brings opportunity, an opportunity to better serve those who are ready to move forward, to stabilize more lives, and to create a path out of homelessness that is clear, that is supportive, and that is sustainable. We are here for your questions, for your feedback, and for your partnership. And we thank you for being here with us, for listening to us, for supporting and walking with us through this next chapter. And I'll turn it back over to Jenna to manage the questions part of the program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to that and for your great questions. We do have quite a few questions left to answer, so we're going to answer some of them live and we'll continue working to answer them in the chat. The first question that we're going to go over is, what will aftercare consist of, and will there be any other agencies helping us to conduct the aftercare?
Aftercare will be really, the work on that will start prior to people transitioning out. And I assume you're talking about aftercare once someone transitions out of the housing focused model into independent living. Is that the aftercare that we're talking about? If so, we will do what we have done for a few years now, since we've been working in the housing space and trying to transition people out into independence. Make sure that they do their best to check in on our guest at a minimum one time per month. That can look like a phone call, that can look like an in-home visit. Again, people have to be agreeable to allowing us to do that, and they have to engage with us. But we certainly try to do this on our end now. But a lot of the aftercare will also be part of the planning process before people move out. It's really important that we look at what all of those support systems look like, and that we're able to tap into those resources and those services when we need them. And so that will be a big part of the aftercare. The aftercare will be happening as they're working on their housing stability program too, and talking through things with their case manager and trying to figure out what that overall support system looks like.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. The next question we'll ask is, someone said, my biggest concern is what will happen to the guests who are, for health or other reasons, not candidates for housing.
Well, we'll do what we do now. I mean, like I said, the only pre-qualifier for this program is willingness. Some cases or some guests, their challenges are greater than others, but we try not to give up on them. We try to locate resources and work within our network of care, but also outside of our network of care. I mean, we have we've placed people in whether it be assisted living homes or whatever they need medically that will meet their needs and help them to live independently with assistance if that be the case. I mean, our case manager, our care coordinator has driven someone and their dog to Tyler to place them in an assisted living care center. So we'll continue to develop relationships with partners, both within our care network, but also being aware of what is available in the surrounding counties, the surrounding states, and how can we connect people to resources.
Okay, wonderful. Another person asks, what are the actual benchmarks for ready to engage or a willingness to work? And what is the criteria that someone would have to meet to be considered ready and willing?
To be considered ready and willing, that's up to the individual. So they have to be willing to meet with a case manager to work on a housing stability plan, which can have a lot of different components, and will be particular guests' set of challenges, set of interests, set of skills. So really, I mean, I think that engagement is different for each person. Management appointments. It is working on those goals that are being set by you and your case manager. These goals are going to be individualized to that particular and really just progressing and moving forward and being willing to do so.
The next question is, where will guests that need emergency overnights bed be advised to go who are not in this program?
We will continue to try to work. I mean, we're trying to do a lot of that work on the ahead of time now. So we hope that we'll be able to refer as many people as possible to resources that can help them. But I don't, shelter will be available. They will have an opportunity to enroll in the program and to get on the waiting list. Unfortunately, we may have to turn some people away, as we do currently in emergency shelter. But I am hopeful that this will allow us to help more people than we've ever been able to help before, to give them individualized care and to help more people really exit, recover from homelessness, and to lead independent lives.
One of the questions that's coming up from a lot of people is one of our requirements that me and Faustina has told people in the chat is that people must be able to physically take care of themselves. And people are asking if that means that people with physical disabilities are not able to get shelter. Can you answer that question for them, Wendy?
Yeah, so right now, people just need to be able to take care of their daily living needs. If we have someone who is unable to do that, then the shelter is not the appropriate place for them. And we will try to place them in an appropriate space. Right now, one of the challenges that we have had since being at the shelter is we receive quite a few inappropriate discharges from medical providers are just out of surgery and they need to be, they need care. They need to be in a rehab program and they're coming straight to the shelter. That's not good for them and that's not good for us. I mean, we're just unable to care for them. And so we will do our best to be able to try to find resources for them, but we also need the word to get out that we have limitations on what we can do to serve people and who we can serve. But that does not mean that if you have a physical disability that you will not be able to be in this program.
Thank you for clarifying that. And I'm glad that you guys were asking that question. Someone asked, could we provide details regarding the waiting list?
Sure. As far as the waiting list, like I said, it will be first come, first serve. And so our application has to be completed in person at Our Daily Bread. And we have it set up to enter the information electronically. So it is date and time stamped, and that's how we're able to manage first come, first serve. There are some things that you have to do while you are on the waiting list. You have to engage in services at least every 30 days with a provider that is in our care network. So someone who is in the HMIS system. That may look like Salvation Army in Denton, MHMR, Giving Grace, Interfaith Ministries, just some way that we're able to verify that you are still here and you're still seeking services. If you are at a shelter out of town in another county, that will be a disqualifier for the waiting list because we have limited resources here and we encourage people if they are relocating to Dallas or Fort Worth that they stay there and they tap into those resources at those shelters. Once your name comes up on the waiting list, so we have someone who has exited the program and hopefully they've exited into a stable situation and a bed becomes available, we will contact you. So it's really important when the application is being completed that we have good contact information. It can be phone, it can be email. And if any time during that time while you're on the wait list, contact information changes, it's really important to get in touch with us and let us know. But you'll have once your name comes up, we will make an attempt to get back in touch with us and say that you are interested in coming into the program. If for some reason we're not able to get in touch with you or contact you, but we can see that you're still receiving services in the area, you'll just stay in your spot on the waiting list and we'll move to the next person. We will work with our partners. We'll work with PD. We will work with Street Outreach. We will work with any other partners, MHMR, Salvation Army, some of these other close partners that are in our area to try to contact you as well. So, we can, this is something we can talk about at case conferencing that happens weekly as a community that once a name comes up, if we're not able to locate you, to let you know, hey, if you've seen this individual, their name has come up and we'd like to get in touch with, we're trying to get in touch with them so they can be a part of this program.
The next question is, what are the rules for lack of progress? Is it missing one meeting with the case manager, two or seven, or what does that look like?
After two meetings or two missed appointments or two missed goals, and look, we're reasonable people. If there is a legitimate reason for you missing that, we understand. You're sick, you had a conflicting appointment. As long as there's good communication, that's really important. But once there are two misses or two lack of engagement on two different occasions, it will go to the exit committee, which is made up of various community members as well as the case manager. And there will be a discussion and there will be a determination on whether or not you'll remain in the program or you will exit the program. And again, if you are exited from the program due to lack of engagement or you're just not ready yet, maybe you thought you were, but you're just not, and that's okay. We understand, and we have always tried to meet people where they are. That doesn't mean that you can't, when you are ready, apply for the program again, because you certainly can. But I think it's important for the community to understand that it is not the Our Daily Bread case manager solely on their own making the decision to exit someone from the program.
Okay, thanks for that. We still have lots of good questions coming in. Um, the next one is, why is the decision being made to lower the amount of spots open when we should be expanding care and expanding our barriers? She means this in since homelessness is rising. She means that since homelessness is rising, our services should be expanding too.
That would be great if we had the budget and the resources to support it, but we don't. So we've had to make a hard decision, which we think is the best decision because it allows us to help more people than we were able to help transition out and stabilize before. It helps us to still provide those basic services: meals, showers, hygiene items, clothing, those essential services, and then access to partners who provide very essential services in a day shelter setting, as well as inclement weather. So this was the best compromise that we could come up with that we felt like still honored our mission of caring for those experiencing homelessness. But also, I mean, we can't operate outside of our means. We can't continue to do that and still remain here. So the budgeting concern is a real one. There are just not infinite resources in our community. And we do not, at Our Daily Bread, have infinite resources.
Thank you. That was a great question. And I think this one has a very similar answer, but I want us to touch on it. So, can you explain why ID services and laundry services are ending for day shelter folks?
Yes, if you're enrolled in the program, obviously those are still available. As far as ID services, we are we're spending a lot of money on IDs. We're spending a lot of money on replacing IDs. We just don't have the capacity to continue to provide that service for everyone. We hope to work with partners who can provide that service if it's someone who is accessing day shelter. I don't know who that is yet, but if there's anyone on this call who knows a partner who can provide those services, please let us know because we will want to share that with our guests. And then laundry is extremely costly and labor intensive. So it is a budgetary concern.
Okay, great. The next question is, what does a housing stability plan outside of being an individualized plan entail? Although I understand that not all criteria may be used with every person, can we find out possible criteria? Is there a template or a flow chart?
Yeah, we have both of those, and I'm happy to share that after the meeting. We can send that directly to whoever answered that question or whoever asked that question. I'm sorry.
Okay, perfect. We'll do that. This question came in after we were talking about people being discharged from hospitals and coming to Our Daily Bread and us, um, if that person isn't able to take care of their own personal needs, that we don't have any medical staff here to help with that either. So this person asks, what's the appropriate space so that people don't get referred to the shelter? Would it be more effective to send people that can't receive appropriate shelter at Our Daily Bread to somewhere else rather than having them brought here?
I think if they're discharging from a hospital, then that is on the social worker at the hospital to determine what the best and appropriate discharge plan is for that individual. Um, and that's the short answer for that.
Okay, great. Can you tell them how we are communicating all of our new rules and changes to the guests?
Sure. So we are posting it in the shelter, and then we have our information sessions. I know we had some guests sign up for this presentation as well. So I'm sure that I think that if they joined, then they are a part of this. But it's much more detailed in the information sessions that we are doing. So we have it posted in print for people to see, and then we are spending that one-on-one time in a group with our guests, going through the timeline and all of the changes, as well as providing and then giving them the opportunity to ask questions during that session as well. And then if someone, you know, afterwards, because sometimes that can be hose, right? You have a lot of information coming at you at once, and you can't think of your question right then. I know I'm like that a lot, and then afterwards I'll go home and wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and be like, oh, ask for clarification as well.
Okay, great. The next question is, how has money been lost, and is there any budget data that we would like to share?
I don't think the money has been, I mean, the fact is we've tried to do more than we have the ability to do or have the funds to do. Um, like grants and individual donations or donations from corporations or other organizations, social organizations, churches. The majority of our budget is comes from those folks. The city of Denton is the only governmental agency that funds a portion of our program. We don't receive any other funding, so no county, no state, no federal funding, and that's very challenging. And if you look at shelters that, for example, the Bridge or Austin Street Center down in Dallas, I mean, we have a $4 million budget, and theirs is 12. And so we are doing the best we can with what we have. But the fact is, we don't have enough support to be able to continue at this pace. Capital campaign coming into this shelter. Our goal was to raise $3 million. We thought that would be what we need to help us for the first 3 years. We were pretty accurate in that. And so we raised a third of what we needed initially. I can also say that we've tried to be very responsible with the resources that we have. I mean, this year alone, we have reduced staff. We've reduced 8 staff positions. And so, we're operating on a shoestring over here. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna give one more second for me to look through these questions to make sure we got everything and see if any last second questions are coming in. But we have really made our way through a lot of these questions, and I appreciate everybody's engagement and asking questions as well. So I'm going to take a moment and see if there's anything I've missed. And if not, we will.
Did I lose you, Jen?
Can you talk about the difference? Oh,
I'm
Wendy, can you
sorry.
talk about the difference
Yeah, I went
between?
silent there for a minute. I'm sorry. Technology, it's
Oh, no, you're good. Could
okay.
you talk about the difference between housing first and housing focused?
Yeah, sure. Housing first is placing people into housing without any preconditions. So you're just putting someone into housing and then trying to wrap supports around them after the fact. We've never really subscribed to a housing first approach. We have tried to be more housing focused. Um, and it prioritizes housing as the end goal, but it takes a much more comprehensive and individualized approach than housing first. It really considers all aspects of, or this is how we incorporate housing focused. It considers all aspects of a person's stability, such as health, employment, behavioral health, and other barriers, and actively works with the guests to address these while they're in the program. So before they've transitioned out of the shelter into housing. We have practiced this approach with many of our transitional guests who have successfully exited the program into independent living. And it really allows us to kind of walk alongside our guests as they work towards long-term stability. And it's more than just placement, but it is actually walking with them, working on a plan, supporting them prior to exit.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. The next question is asking about what kind of volunteer work that we will be requiring of our guests in the housing focused programs, how many hours per week, and what kind of labor it will be.
Required as they are now in our transition, in what we call our transitional program. But everyone who is staying overnight in shelter now is asked to do what we call efforts or chores, making sure that they're taking care of the space around them. We'll continue that. We have a much tighter control on that in transitional, and we ask people to do that in emergency shelter, but we don't really have the ability to really oversee it appropriately, and it doesn't always get done. But we think it's really important for people to be a part of this program and to do something to really take care of their space and to give back to the program. We think if you get up each day and you have something to do, you have a volunteer position that you need to fill, that really helps to promote self-worth and feeling like you've accomplished something in a day. So we stand behind all the benefits of our guests that are in this program giving back through volunteerism. We're not charging room and board. We're not charging for meals. They're living here or they are participating in this program essentially free of charge. And we think it's really important that they become a part of the community by giving back and volunteering. Now we have an established guest volunteer program. We have an orientation that our volunteer coordinator Evan holds, and we have a lot of guests that participate and that volunteer. They sign in just like they would, just like any other volunteer would. And they go and they get oriented and they volunteer in their shift. And so we hold them accountable to that as well. We are depending upon what other commitments the guest who's enrolled in the program may have. So if they are working, two full-time jobs or they are working 40 hours a week, then they will have slightly less volunteer responsibilities than someone who is not working at all or does not have who has fewer commitments during the week. And so it'll be individually determined based on what other commitments the guests have. And if you want to know what those volunteer positions are, you can look on our website, and you can see what the volunteer positions look like.
Okay, great. The next question is, are there other cities that are
And to add to
helping
that, Jenna,
support
you
the
may.
shelter? Oh,
I was just going to say, you may have something to add to that. I know you're involved with the volunteerism that happens here at the shelter.
yeah, I think that a lot of our guests get so much out of it, and they love when our staff goes around and thanks them for their effort and sees the good work that they're doing. It to me, it's a lot about self-esteem building, and the volunteers that come in, they love seeing that they're working hand in hand with the guests that come in too. So it builds an amazing sense of community. On top of that, another question that came in those regards is why call it a guest volunteer program if it's actually a requirement to participate? And to that, I would say that the guest volunteer program is kind of separate from what we call efforts or their chores throughout the time. Many of our guests, um, they choose to volunteer. They choose to spend their time doing that. They like being a part of everything that we have going on. And so that guest volunteer program is separate from any effort or chore that we would require. The next question, switching topics a little bit, is if there are any other cities that are supporting the shelter's needs.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that was an easy one. Next
Financially?
question.
You
I
mean
think
financially?
so.
Absolutely not.
Okay, the next one is, has working in the Texas BOS continuum of care impacted ODB's resources?
Um, I don't. I don't think so. I do. I think that maybe folks who are not in the balance of state. I do know that more dollars tend to go to like Dallas. And I feel like we're a little stuck in the middle because we're not rural. So a lot of grants and funding go towards rural programs, or they go towards other programs that are outside the balance of state, like a Dallas County or a Tarrant County. And so that has been a little challenging for us. I think we just kind of are stuck in the middle, and we don't get a lot of love in that respect. But we're a proud partner with THN and in the balance of state.
Okay, thank you. The next person asks, have you tracked areas where guests are coming from? Are they primarily coming from Denton or other cities within Denton County or outside of the county?
We have folks that are coming in from all over, but we have a lot of folks coming in from Dallas and outside of the county. A large number, just based on what the information we've been able to gather. We had someone today, I think, who was discharged and transported here from DeSoto. We've had people as far away that have been put in an Uber and transported from Austin. And, the thought is, I know that Denton is a great place to be, but how many shelters and how many other resources did you pass to get up here to Denton? Because, we are just very limited in what this community has and what this community can support. But a significant number of people are coming from outside of Denton County.
That person asks, or another person asks, Why aren't those people being sent back to their community because it's taking resources from Denton County?
Yeah, that's a challenge, right? You know, it's hard really to determine residency, and we've always, have opened our doors to everyone um, who has come in seeking services. I mean, that's been kind of part of who we are. But it has been a challenge, and that's an easier said than done, because when you're face to face with the person who's coming in, and and they just need some help, it's challenging, right, to do that. But what we have tried to do is we've tried to track drop offs that are coming from outside of the area. So those may be police drop offs, those may be from hospitals, or medical centers, or behavioral health hospitals, or inpatient treatment facilities from outside of the area. We've tried to contact the appropriate folks in those spaces and tell them that we really just don't have the resources to be able to serve folks. But a lot of times, folks are already put in a vehicle, and they're sent up here, and they won't take them back, and so that makes it very challenging. We are hoping that this new program will help to mitigate some of that.
Okay, we are coming to the very, very end of our time, but I think there's one last quick question that we can get answered. Someone asks, can you specify the number of required hours people will be required to volunteer to be included in transitional housing and what kind of labor it will be?
Well, you said transitional housing, but I'm guessing that you're talking about the housing focused program, rather than transitional housing. Um, it most likely will be around 20 hours, but again, that's going to depend on what their other commitments are. Okay. So we're still working some of that out.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Wendy, and thank you everybody for coming. That concludes our town hall. Thank you all for being here tonight. And if we didn't get to your question, or if you would like to speak to us personally, please feel free to reach out to us after this event. We'll be sending a follow-up email tomorrow with the links to all of our FAQs and a recording of tonight's presentations and the slides from this presentation, and a way that you guys can get in touch with us. So from all of us at Our Daily Bread, thank you again for attending, and I hope you all have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.